Okay. I want to welcome everyone today. We have a new webinar for the Massachusetts Rhode Island district, and we're very happy to welcome our presenter today, Abby Malko. And we are going to be talking about how to start selling in Amazon stores. Before we do that, I want to go ahead and talk about SCORE just a little bit, just in case you're new to SCORE. You can go ahead and go to that next slide. SCORE offers a couple of different things for those that are either thinking about starting a small business, are in the process of starting that business, or already are in business. We work with everyone at every stage. We offer training. This webinar today, please definitely check out the website, and I will put those links into the chat so that you have that available to you, and see and find our other upcoming webinars. And we have a lot coming up this fall. You'll also find information on how to watch already recorded webinars. So that information is there. You'll also find templates and tools, tons of resources and things that you can access to help answer your questions. But the most important thing that SCORE does is the mentoring. Our mentors are volunteers, and they want to share their knowledge and experience and expertise with you as a small business owner. They work, like I say, for free, and that information is always held confidential. You can work with a mentor as often as you like, and oftentimes other mentors are brought in as your needs change and develop along the way. So I will put the information in the chat on how you can get a mentor, and that is super, super easy. And it is even easier than going to the website. You could just put a note in chat, and I'll have somebody from your chapter reach out to you to get you scheduled. I'm often asked what a session is like. Most sessions run in the 30 to 45 minute range for the first visit, kind of depending on how many questions you have up front. And what will happen in that first session is your needs will be assessed and a plan will be made. And then you will work through that plan with your mentor, setting yourself goals and things to work toward. We are going to use the Q&A tab today, so we don't lose track of any of your questions. So if you have a question for our presenter today, please put it in the Q&A tab. You may use chat for everything else, but if you want a question asked out loud to our presenter, put it in the Q&A tab. All right, that concludes the SCORE portion, and I want to go ahead and welcome Abby. Thank you.
Awesome. Do you want me to introduce myself, or?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Abby Malko. I am the manager of our partnerships team for small business empowerment. And what we do on our team is we work with various third-party organizations to help provide educational opportunities and informational opportunities to small businesses and entrepreneurs such as yourself. I've been doing this work for almost 4 years now since I've been at Amazon. And then I also work very closely here in the DC area with the Dingman Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Maryland. So today's agenda, it's kind of meaty. We got a lot. We're going to discuss why should you even sell an Amazon store. Not everybody is really maybe the right fit in their journey as a small business owner to be selling an Amazon store. We'll talk about what to sell and when, how to get started, how to list your products, how to deliver them, opportunities to grow as a small business, and then share some additional resources we have at Amazon to help empower your growth. I know, Teresa, we have a poll on this slide if you wanted to go ahead and launch the poll. And then real quick, just a housekeeping item. Feel free to, again, leverage the Q&A for any questions you may have during the presentation, and we'll have some dedicated time at the end to be able to address all of those questions.
Can everyone see the poll?
I saw the poll, if that helps.
So. Okay. All right, great. Yes, we'd like to encourage you to answer that poll for us, please. It's just the 2 questions.
All right, I'll go ahead and move to the next slide. So now we're going to discuss why should you sell an Amazon store. One key data point we have that we like to share is since third-party sellers have joined Amazon in 1999, which feels so long ago, they've grown to account for basically 58% of Amazon's sales. And third-party sales are obviously growing at Amazon 52% year over year. So for small businesses such as yourself, it's a great opportunity for you to be able to access new customers and scale your growth. So just because we are such a data-driven company, just to give you a snapshot on Amazon, when you're selling directly to a consumer, we have hundreds of millions active customer accounts. Amazon Business, which is for selling to other businesses, has roughly 5 million active customer accounts. This data is current as of 2021. And then you are able to reach customers in more than 30 countries when you set up your account. So there's obviously a lot of small businesses and small and medium-sized businesses selling in Amazon store. Over 50% of all the units sold in our store come from small and medium-sized businesses. Again, this data is current as of end of year 2021. And then in 2021, US selling partners sold more than 3.8 billion products. So that's 7,400 products a minute, right? And one data point that I always like to call out is that over 65% of small and medium-sized businesses selling in our store have profit margins of over 10%. So what does that mean for small and medium-sized businesses? So again, this data is current as of 2021. The number of American small and medium-sized sellers surpassed 1 million in sales, and that grew by nearly 15%. And nearly 4,000 of these sellers surpassed 1 million in sales for the first time. Now we're going to talk about what to sell in Amazon store and when. So not every product, some businesses, maybe your service, we do have services available on Amazon as well. But it's important to know what to sell in Amazon store, right? So you obviously want to sell something that's easy to package and ship, something that has branding potential. I'm not sure how many folks here today are brand owners or thinking of becoming brand owners. We're going to discuss that in further detail later in the presentation, but that does open up a whole new set of possibilities for you if you are a brand owner. And then you also want to sell products that are affordable. I'm sure, if you are an Amazon customer, you typically go to Amazon for convenience, you go for the low prices, and then you go for the selection. We have obviously a very large selection of products within our store. So, and then you also want to sell products that have a longer shelf life. I'll get into more detail on that later when we discuss fulfillment and distribution. There are some restricted products that you are unable to sell in Amazon store, such as prescription drugs, for example. For a full list of those products, you can go to the restricted products help section within Seller Central. So, depending on where you're at in your small business journey, it's important to have a bit of a strategy for when you decide to start selling an Amazon store. It's really important, for example, to have a supply chain established, understanding like who's manufacturing your product, how is that product being distributed, and if you use, ship it to the fulfillment center, like how quickly can you ship it to the fulfillment center? So it's really important to consider these things before you start selling and before you create your account. So again, your product's ready to ship, you have your target customer identified, and you have an established supply chain. So we're going to discuss how to get started. So here at Amazon, we have two selling plans, the individual and the professional. Here on the screen, you can see what the primary differences between those two selling plans are. The individual plan is 99 cents a sale. So if you're selling like lower volume, like let's say you're selling maybe 20 products a month and you're just getting started, you pay 99 cents a sale for that plan. If you're planning on selling more than 40 items a month, then you would opt for the professional account. That's $39.99 a month. So it's important to consider which selling plan is the best fit for your business before you create your account, right? You can also change your plans at any time. So you can start off with the individual plan if you like, and then you start to build more volume, more demand, then you can convert to the professional plan as well, right? It's important to note too that with the professional plan, you'll be able to sell within all of North America. So you can sell to Canada, US, and Mexico. And then the professional plan also has additional benefits as well, such as on-site advertising tools, more advanced reporting, and things of that nature. So when you create your account, it depends on obviously your product, who your customer is. There's two main ways you can set up an account. If you are selling to other businesses, let's say you're a certified veteran-owned disabled business, and you want to be able to sell to other businesses using that certification, you'd set up an account through business.amazon.com. When you set up an account with business.amazon.com, your products automatically are sold on the regular Amazon.com site. If you're, selling, let's say you're selling a personal care product, like a beauty product, obviously it would be more of a DTC, direct to consumer product. That's when you would go to sell.amazon.com, right? So either one of those, depending on what your product is and who you want to sell to, is where you would go to start setting up your account. Oops, sorry, I think I went too fast. Oh, let me go back. Okay. So these are the things you'll need to set up your account. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You just need your government issued ID, your tax information, your bank account number, your phone number, and things of that nature. And then once you've created your account, Seller Central is kind of call it like your home base for selling in our store. Everything you need is within Seller Central: customer support, all of your metrics to know what your sales performance is like. If you want to invest in, like sponsored products or sponsoring your product, you can do things like that through Seller Central as well. And it helps you also keep track of your inventory, update your product listings, basically everything you need to maintain your business in our store. Now we're going to talk about how to list your products. So what you need to start listing your product is obviously a product ID. In most cases, products have a global trade item number, a GTIN, such as a UPC, an ISBN, or an EAN. Amazon uses those product IDs to identify the exact item you're selling. If you match a listing, you don't need to provide a product ID since it already exists. If you're adding a product that's entirely new to Amazon, you may need to purchase a UPC code or request an exemption. So in addition to the product ID, you obviously need the SKU, a product title, and we're going to go into a little bit more information on how, writing effective product titles, product descriptions, and things like that. And then you'll need to product images, as well as understanding search terms and relevant keywords. So once you're in Seller Central, you can list your product for sale through the Add a Product tab within Seller Central. You can add the product one at a time, or you can upload a file from your catalog. It all depends on, what type of products you have that you're trying to sell. And then you'll just create an entirely new listing, right? So we're going to go into more detail on that in the next slide. So creating your product listing. I know that many folks, when they shop in our store, they're not necessarily looking for a brand, but they're looking for a product first. And that's how you develop brand loyalty over time, right? So for example, we'll just use this teddy bear as an example. Let's say someone has a birthday party, they're trying to get a gift for the birthday party. They're going to look up, teddy bear. And how you populate in search results, where you populate in search results, is critical to your product listing, right? So just a couple things we like to keep in mind is you want to have a very clear title. The title should be about 200 characters max. And then you want to capitalize the first letter of every word of the title, right? You want high quality multiple images. This is super important. I think 6 high-res images or maybe even a video is ideal to increase your listing quality, right? And you can use different colors, different sizes and things like that. Bullet points, it's hard to see on my screen, but you can probably see it on your screen. You want very short descriptive sentences highlighting key features and benefits of your product. And then within your product listing, you can also do offers and buy boxes, right? So for example, you can feature a coupon or things of that nature to help promote your product. And then you can also do, again, uh, you can offer a different price, you can offer a different shipping option, things of that nature. So keywords are super critical in discoverability, which we're also going to get into further detail later in this presentation. But keywords improve the chances that people will find your listing. So, and then obviously once you're in Seller Central, you'll be able to see through your quality dashboard how if your listing data is accurate. And then you can adjust your keywords from there based on performance. So here we go. We're going to get into a little bit of detail about creating an effective product listing title. As I mentioned, you want to capitalize the first letter of every word. You don't want to use all caps. And you'll see in this image what an effective product title looks like, right? And you can kind of use that to structure how you want to title it. For example, this title has Hula Days, that's their brand. They have the product name, which is the dancing dashboard. And then the size, it has 4 inches is the size, right? So you can kind of use that to help structure your product title. You want to use numbers, actual numbers. You don't want to spell out 2, for example. You just want to use actual numeral. And then you want to limit it to 50 characters. And you do not want to include the price in your product description since people will already be able to see it in search results. And then don't use any promotional or subjective commentary. So if you are a brand owner, you can also create a brand store. And here on this slide is a really good example of a brand store and what A+ content looks like in our store. So creating a brand store, it allows you to place all of your products into one location and share more of your unique brand story. And then with brand stores, you kind of create like an elevated and a dedicated shopping experience for your customer. This example here is Simply Gum. And you'll see on the left, like they have like a very distinct experience when you visit their brand store, and they also share their story of why they even started their business and why their business is important to them. And then you can also be able to shop like curated collections and things of that nature. So this is a benefit obviously just to brand owners, not resellers. So if you are a brand owner, you obviously want to protect your brand and your intellectual property. So our brand registry program, which is a free program, is something you would want to enroll in as a brand owner so that no one can go in and duplicate your product under the same name, which you wouldn't want that to happen. But without being enrolled in brand registry, anyone can basically duplicate your product under the same name. And then intellectual property, obviously, I'm sure maybe if you are considering being a brand owner, you have to be trademarked. So you have to enroll your trademark in order to use brand registry. And then in the trademark process, we have the IP Accelerator, which is a really cool program at Amazon. So our IP Accelerator basically connects businesses with a curated network of trusted IP law firms, and it helps provide high quality trademark registration services to help brands secure a trademark. So you don't want to start selling in our store if you are, your own brand. You don't want to start selling in our store until you have that trademark. So just a tip of caution there. Now we're going to discuss fulfillment, how to get your products to your customers. So there's 2 channels you can utilize in fulfilling your orders to your customers. You can fulfill the order yourself, that is fulfillment by merchant, or you can obviously leverage fulfillment by Amazon, which we'll get into a little bit more detail on FBA as well. You can also do a cost comparison between these two fulfillment channels. Within Seller Central, we have the FBA revenue calculator, and it allows you to basically determine, is it more cost effective for me to do this myself, or is it more cost effective for me to enroll in FBA? But keep in mind, with FBA, you do get the Prime badge on your product page, and most customers on Amazon really like the 2-day shipping feature, or sometimes even a 1-day shipping feature that Prime provides. So without the Prime badge, that may impact your growth. So just keep that in mind as well. And we'll get into more benefits of FBA too. You'll also want to consider certain things with fulfillment. So one thing, for example, is refrigerated products. Temperature sensitive products, they obviously need special attention. They have a shorter shelf life. They require obviously refrigeration, air conditioning, ice packs, and stuff like that. Obviously is something you need to consider too, if depending on what your product is. Expiration date control too is another one. So anything with an expiration date really needs to be visible on your product as well for first in, first out freshness. And then there's fragile items like glass, porcelain, things that are easily broken. They require extra care in packaging. And then location. Location is super important as well. So is your distribution close to a warehouse? How long does it take for it to get from point A to point B? Will shipping carriers be able to drop their inventory off there? Those are things you should consider in your fulfillment strategy. So just a little bit about FBA. So some of the unique benefits that FBA provides is you essentially ship everything to the fulfillment center, and Amazon does everything for you from that point. They pick, they pack, and they ship your order. Obviously, your products are eligible for Amazon Prime, like I mentioned, which is super important. And then with FBA, they also do manage all of your customer service and your returns for you, which is super important because if you're a small business and let's say you sell clothing, because clothing typically has a high return rate, you wouldn't have to process all of those returns. Amazon would do that for you. So, and then it lets your business scale quickly. So on average, sellers typically see a 20 to a 25% sales increase once they've enrolled in FBA. And then it is cost effective. So just something to keep in mind. Now we're going to discuss some opportunities for growth. So discoverability, super important. High quality images, like I mentioned. I know personally when I'm shopping on Amazon, I look at the customer reviews. You don't really want to buy a product, for example, that has maybe a 2-star review and then another product, but it has a 4-star review. So customer reviews are super important. A product's first review is actually shown to increase sales by up to 3.5 times. And then we have seasonal events and promotions. A really cool thing we did this year for Prime Day was we had the support small to win big sweepstakes. So what it did was once you shopped with a product from a small business, it automatically enrolled you in a sweepstakes, and we had prizes such as tickets to the Super Bowl and things like that. So seasonal events and promotions are a great growth driver for small businesses. And then obviously strategic measurable marketing. Now, one thing that Amazon can't do is provide marketing advice because it's conflict of interest. So you'll want to establish your own marketing plan and how you're going to market your product, who you should market it to, who you should sponsor it to, things of that nature. All right, and then customer service. Again, if you are enrolled in FBA, we manage your customer service for you, but it's important if you are a small business owner and you're trying to expand your customer base and build brand loyalty to have great customer service because it builds trust, right? So it also provides you a feedback mechanism to help you learn from your customers and then share like what makes them happy about purchasing from your business. What can you improve on as a small business owner? So it's really critical to like the lasting impression you make on your customers. Now we'll discuss some of our advertising solutions. So as I mentioned, we have sponsored products. So let's say you are not a brand owner. you can still use sponsored products. But if you are a brand owner, you can engage in all three of these as a way to advertise your product, right? So sponsored products are basically ads for individual product listings on Amazon. They help drive visibility and product sales. And then they appear on the search results pages and the product detail pages. Sponsored brands, they basically showcase your brand and your product portfolio. Their search results ad that feature your brand logo. So for example, let's say you want to buy a Dyson vacuum on Amazon, and it has to be a Dyson. You just type in Dyson and the Dyson will be sponsored as both a brand and as a product. So it helps with discoverability in that sense. And then we have brand stores, like I mentioned. So brand stores, again, are custom multi-page shopping destinations for brands that really showcase all of the products you provide, as well as your story, your brand story. So we have a couple, actually a few new benefits that we have launched within the past year to help small and medium-sized businesses build their brand. We have the brand referral bonus. So basically how this works is when brands direct non-Amazon marketing traffic to their own website or any other website to Amazon, they earn a bonus of 10% of the purchase price of the promoted product. So that's a really cool benefit. And then we also have the Amazon customer engagement tool, which really enables brands to easily launch email marketing campaigns to raise awareness of their new products. So we launched the beta version of that in May of last year. And since we did that, more than 6 million emails have been sent to customers on behalf of brands. Then we also have the A+ story cards. They are basically on your product page. They enable brands to showcase, again, their brand story. Again, A+ content is super critical. It helps you be featured in various promotions and campaigns that we do. So it's a little complicated, but it basically provides rich visual imagery and more seamlessly connects shoppers to your products. So in the last month since we've done that, brands have enabled A+ story cards on over more than 1 million products. Now, these are two very new features that basically our team, small business empowerment team here at Amazon, created. So we launched the small business badge, and what the small business badge does, it allows you, if you are a small business owner and you're eligible for the badge, there's a little badge on your product page that lets customers know that this is a small business product, right? And obviously there are a lot of consumers out there, customers out there who want to support small businesses. So it allows small businesses to be more easily discovered on Amazon. And that is a huge sales driver, right? And we launched this just in time for the Prime Day, which I mentioned, the sweepstakes that we did to give people greater discoverability in shopping small. And then just recently, we launched the Black Owned Business Badge. So the Black Owned Business Badge is very similar, obviously, and it appears on product detail pages for eligible product offers and within search in the Amazon's US store. And this is for Black owned businesses. And we just launched that in August, so very, very recently. Now I'm going to discuss some additional resources we have. Okay, so again, we do have the Black Business Accelerator. This was launched last year. This is a 150 million commitment that Amazon made to help build sustainable equity and growth for Black-owned businesses. So what's really cool about the Black Business Accelerator is it gives you access to financial support, business guidance, mentorship, marketing, and promotional support. So if you want to learn more about the program, you can just go to sell.amazon.com/BBA. And we're going to share all of these links at the end of the presentation as well. We also have a couple of programs for small businesses that maybe not everybody is aware of. So we have Launchpad. Launchpad is really for the startups, the innovative startups that you typically see on Shark Tank. And you can apply to both of these programs, by the way. And then we have Handmade. Handmade is a community for artisans, so very similar to Etsy. It allows you to showcase your products through a dedicated storefront, and it allows you to purchase like unique handmade items from other artisans as well. And then if you're interested in learning more about selling in our store, because this is obviously a very high level presentation, and if you want to dive deeper into a specific topic, you can leverage the Amazon Small Business Academy Pathway series that you can watch the webinars on demand, or you can participate in the webinars live. But they do have like dedicated full-hour sessions to topics such as FBA, for example, that we may not be able to cover within this presentation. And then we just launched this. This is actually relatively new. June of this year, we launched the This is Small Business podcast. This podcast is actually pretty cool. It's a podcast designed just for small business owners and entrepreneurs. The episodes, they feature different small business owners and industry experts as well. And it's basically, hey, how did I succeed as a small business owner? Here's some tips that I've learned along the way to help others as well. So the season is about 12 episodes. And then I'm going to share the website real quick. So the website is smallbusinesspodcast.com if you want to subscribe to it. And then if you want to provide feedback on the podcast or suggest topics for it, you can email thisissmallbusiness@amazon.com. And then once you've created your Seller Central account, Seller University provides a lot of educational content, which really, again, dives into a lot more detail. There's also a YouTube channel that anyone can access. It's just Amazon Seller University, and they have various playlists that are organized by topic, for example, FBA. And the videos are relatively short. They're only about 3 to 5 minutes long. So if you want to understand a little bit more than what we have covered today, definitely recommend checking out that YouTube playlist for Seller University. Now we'll see if we have any questions.
We do have questions. So let's go. And I remind you to please go ahead and get those questions entered, and we'll hopefully get everyone's questions taken care of. Is there any limitation on the merchants being non-US citizens or green card holders?
That's a pretty broad question. I guess I would need like an example. So we'd probably have to direct that question to the seller registration team. I don't think it's a requirement, but I don't want to say yes or no that it's a requirement to be a US citizen to sell in our store, because we are a global marketplace. But maybe an example would be helpful to better understand the question.
Okay. How do you join Amazon IP Accelerator?
Yes, IP Accelerator. I just recommend, Googling Amazon IP Accelerator. It's very straightforward. Set up your account that way, and then it's basically a service that Amazon provides to accelerate the trademark process.
Okay. How long does it take for the seller account to get set up? Usually.
It's pretty instantaneous to get your account set up. It's the product listing that takes a little bit more time, right? Because you want to be thoughtful and before listing your product and have all of those keywords figured out, how you're going to describe your product, what kind of images you're going to use. So the setting up the account is actually quite simple. It's the product listing that may take a little bit more time, depending on what, the person has already established before doing that.
Does Amazon provide coaches for building a brand store?
What I would say, once you're enrolled in brand registry, that's super critical. You definitely want to be enrolled in brand registry. For building a brand store, again, Amazon can't provide specific marketing advice, but they will work with you to develop that A+ content, like I mentioned, right? But again, it's a lot of it is like trial and error. What works, what doesn't work? What do I want to communicate as a brand owner? How do I want my brand to be demonstrated or portrayed on Amazon, right? So I think a lot of that is is dependent on the business owner.
And you mentioned about the small business badges and the minority owned badges. How do you get those?
Yeah, that once you are enrolled, or once you set up your seller account, if you go to Shop Small, like Amazon.com/shop small, there's a list of the, how you're eligible to receive the badge. The criteria is fairly simple. You have to have less than, I think, 500 employees, less than a certain amount of revenue, but all of that criteria is on Amazon.com/shop small.
Okay. And I think this one's a clarification. You mentioned the accelerator. Is there a minority owned business accelerator?
Right now, we just have the Black Business Accelerator that was launched last year. So it's a relatively new program for us.
Okay. And repeat again the two kinds of seller accounts.
Okay, yeah, individual selling account and the professional selling account. Individual is when you're charged 99 cents a sale, and professional is you can sell an unlimited amount, and you pay $39.99 a month.
Okay. This person has set up a seller account, went through the verification interview process, received an email saying to activate the seller account, which they did, but they cannot figure out, and there's nothing that's prompting them how to list their items. They are completely lost. Where do they turn?
If they've already set up their Seller Central account, they should be able to contact seller support within Seller Central.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Is there anyone want to have any questions they want to quickly type in? Or if you like and you want to ask out loud, please go ahead and use the raise hand feature, and I will allow you to speak and ask your question out loud if you would like that option as well. If anyone has any other things, just to remind you that you can get a SCORE mentor by reaching out to I have somebody that would like to ask a question out loud. Let me allow that to happen here. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. I have a question. So you mentioned the individual in the professional seller accounts, and then you gave a sell at Amazon.com, I believe was the professional account, and I missed the individual.
Oh, no, you can just go to sell.amazon.com to establish either account.
Either account. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you are an artisan, do you still need a trademark to sell?
Yeah, artisans are completely different. If the person is an artisan, I actually recommend that they apply to the Handmade program. It's a pretty simple application process, and Handmade will actually work with you if you're accepted into the program on developing your storefront, and all of that. So if you are an artisan, definitely recommend applying to that program.
Okay. Okay, I don't. Oh, I think. Okay. I'm not sure if she wants to here. Let me bring that back in. You go ahead and
Sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Could you tell, I'm curious about your experience with selling on Amazon.
Oh, my experience with selling on
Yes.
Amazon? Oh, I personally do not sell on Amazon.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No. But I obviously have am well versed in selling an Amazon store because I have to be, right? And I also because I genuinely like the topic. It is such a interesting topic, and things are always changing when selling in our store. But yeah, but there's lots of resources. I would recommend checking those resources out if you're looking on diving into like a specific topic, because today's presentation is obviously pretty high level. So
okay, what resources would you recommend?
I honestly think that Pathways is a really good one if you want to dive deep into a topic, because the sessions are about an hour long.
Okay,
And if you want to just provide like more high level, then definitely the Seller University YouTube playlist. Those are both really good resources for you. And then if you already have a seller account, Seller University has like a whole bunch of webinars that they provide as well. And they're live webinars too. So you'll be able to ask Q&A within them. That all depends on where you're at with creating your selling account.
okay. Thank you.
If there is loss and damage items in Amazon warehouse, who will take care of it? The business or Amazon?
Depends on if you're enrolled in FBA or not. So, loss and damage, that I can't say yes for sure on that one. It all depends on what kind of damage, how the damage occurred, things of that nature. But if it's obviously Amazon's fault, they would incur the cost. But if it's like, say, the business is, it's hard to say. It all depends. It's a case by case basis.
Excellent. I did post where to find the recording. It
Oh.
should be posted. I put it in the chat, and it should be posted within about 24 hours. Just to let people know. Did you have some other? Oh,
Yeah,
you have
I just shared the resources that I shared within the presentation, which might be helpful as well. Again, Small Business Academy, you can just go to amazon.com/Small Business Academy. For the Seller University YouTube playlist, just go to YouTube and search Amazon Seller University. And then for the podcast, This is Small Business at amazon.com. And then sell.amazon.com is where you go to create your selling account. And then if you want to create an Amazon business seller account, you would visit business.amazon.com.
Yes, pull out your phone, snap a picture of the screen, or do a screen save to have this information handy for you for when you need it next. Okay, I think that covers all the questions that we've had. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. And thank you, Abby, for just providing a lot of useful information. And certainly consider reaching out to a SCORE mentor to help you with your planning stage portions or your marketing plan portions of this journey. And I think that covers it. I wish you all the best, and hope you join us again soon.